How many of you have ever been to another country or have had to speak to somebody in a different language?
In our country.
And how was that experience for you? Good? Bad? So my name is Brock Nelson, and I relate to this topic because I had to go to Paraguay for 2 years, and I had to learn the Spanish language and a dialect of Guarani in order to communicate with the people of Paraguay. In the United States today, we are seeing many people immigrate to our country who do not fully understand the English language and are unable to communicate to us people. I have 3 points to help us better understand of why it is important for immigrants to learn the English language. First, immigrants must pass the civics test, which is written and must be answered in English to gain full citizenship. Second, it's the only way to empower generation after generation. And third, it's the only way to success. First, a civics test is written in English and must be answered in English in a requirement for an immigrant to become a legal citizen and gain their American citizenship. According to the United States government, this test includes such questions as the following. How many amendments does the Constitution have? What is Congress? And what is the last state to send in federal income taxes? Those questions must be answered in English and read in English in order to gain their citizenship. Part of being in America is the English language. Former President Theodore Roosevelt said, "In the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated equally with everyone else. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American, and nothing but an American. We have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room for but one language, the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is a loyalty to the American people. It may be a requirement to learn English and to gain your U.S. citizenship. It's also the only way to empower generation after generation. Knowing the English language is only two, or Abraham Morales, who is a Hispanic lawyer studying in Denver, once said, learning how to speak and write English helps us not only to survive, but to advance as well. I know of talented new citizens whose level of English limits their ability to pursue career opportunities, to be more engaged in their children's education, or to better understand the complex U.S. systems such as healthcare. A goal for many is to see their kids and their grandkids and their prosperity succeed. In a Pew study, 89% of Latinos acknowledged that they needed to know English to succeed and for their future generations to succeed as well. Last, the ability to know the English language is the only way to succeed in the United States of America. How many of you, without knowing Spanish, believe you could go down to South America and live a normal life with work, family, friends, etc., and not know Spanish?
Absolutely not.
Not very many. It would be very difficult to go to another country and fully live the way that they live down there. According to a study done by the Migration Policy Institute, up to 85% of American immigrants interviewed said it's hard to get a job or do well in the U.S. without knowing English. What's more, 65% of them think it's an ethical obligation to learn the language. Ethical or not, it's simply necessary for success. Finally, I would like you all to picture yourselves in another country that speaks a different language, where you have to ask for food in a different way, where you have to drive on the streets with different signs. It's going to be very difficult for you guys in another country, just as immigrants who do not understand English be difficult for them in our country. I know that English will help immigrants become legal citizens, empower their families with greater strength, and set themselves up for success. For this is not only the benefit of our country, but a benefit for the immigrant themselves. As Theodore Roosevelt stated, we have but room for one language, and that is the English language. It is now up to you, citizens of the United States, to remain